Hey everybody, welcome back to the Friends for Life Midweek Mini. We just... That's Tony's new sound effect, by the way. I don't know where that came from, but that's like his new thing.
Whenever I think of the Midweek Mini, that's what I love. Boop, boop.
But we just sat and watched Crip Camp. It was a film on Netflix by the Obamas.
Not by Snoop Dogg, everybody. Not by Snoop Dogg.
Not by Snoop Dogg. No, that's a different movie. It was really impactful. Very, very, very eye-opening on, how disabilities rights came about. And, we're always a little bit behind the times because this movie came out in 2020. But we just heard about it, and we are very, very excited to watch it. And we're going to kind of talk about it and how it relates to how things are going nowadays. This was, 1980s through the 1970s through the 90s, basically, and the political upheaval that happened with people with disabilities kind of coming into their own. It starts out, they're at what they called Crip Camp.
Crip Camp, yeah. Dude, but the camp was, whoa, it looks fun as hell.
The beginning of the movie is hilarious.
Yes, very much so.
It is. The thing that I really liked is everyone that was at the camp said, I felt normal.
Yeah.
We were cracking up at the beginning.
Oh, man. Just quick spoiler alert. Please go see it. But there was a guy digging holes.
I was going to say
just because he wanted somebody to fall in them.
Yeah, he literally said they had a camera on him. And then you're talking like 1970s, like 35 millimeter camera. Like he's on camera. He goes, what are you doing over here? He goes, yeah, I'm digging holes. They're like, why? He's like, a lot of people have a hard time walking around here. I was hoping to see him fall. But
and that was the director.
That was the guy who owned the camp.
Director.
Yeah, the camp was called Camp Jeanette, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like everybody that went there became a political figure in the the movement that happened later on in the movie. But he's talking about how people went to this camp and they said they felt normal. Nobody was holding their hand. Mm-hmm. Nobody was treating them like they're special. Right. They're like, you're doing you. And we got crabs or something.
Oh, man, the crab infestation. I hope we're not terribly. And again, I'm one of those people who love for our young ones to get involved. This is a rated R movie. Please go in with an open mind if you do have young ones watching it. But it definitely opens up to, it takes you back if you were a kid and you went to camp. Mm-hmm. They were going through the same scenarios and situations that some of us wanted to go through.
Yeah, exactly.
And not wanted to go through. The crabs was a big part.
But it a lot of times, people with disabilities are viewed as other, and the way that they made this movie was so great because it wasn't like that at all. It was very much in the vein of normalcy. Mm-hmm. And it evolves and they become basically everyone at the camp they are empowered because they all are able to just talk about the way that they want the world to be.
Yeah.
And they take, which we talk about all the time, they take political action. And it was really, really enlightening to see. They had it's a civil rights issue.
Right.
It was in the end. It is today, to this very day, it's a civil rights issue. They're basically, there's a bill they were trying to get passed, 504, which Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act states that no qualified handicapped person shall, on the basis of a handicap, be excluded from participation or be denied the benefits of or otherwise be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity which receives federal finance assistance. So they're trying to get this bill passed.
Yeah.
And they protested hard.
Real hard. To the point where there was one of those sayings that the world wants us dead. Mm-hmm. That is deep, dude. To have that feeling. Can you imagine just going into the community, which as a African-American man, I have been blessed enough, I think, through the times of a lot of civil rights actions. I grew up in a pretty stable racial environment. Just that's speaking for myself. Mm-hmm. But this was still something that wasn't being perceived. It was basically, no ramps for you. Too bad. You better figure out a way to get down that New York subway.
Well, yeah, the lady who said that, she said, but we're basically saying we have to work 10 times as hard because people already don't care about us. She this is a quote from somebody that was at the protest. She said, "The world wants us dead, and that's something we live with every day." And just even like hearing the terminology that like reporters and news channels are using back in the day is so crazy to see how things have changed.
It's almost like if you look back in the civil rights movement era, like if I were to see Negro only signs and stuff, like that would, wow. And I have ancestors, I have family who live right now who have went through that. So it's, I mean, it touches a chord when you can correlate it like that and you can see it and feel it and have a connection to it. And I think because of what we do in this field, we have a deeper connection to it than most, of course.
Yeah, and one of the when they were protesting, they were in San Francisco. They moved out to, it was Berkeley.
Berkeley, yeah.
And they were protesting in San Francisco because I believe that was where the Capitol was or whatever. They locked themselves in the building, and they were talking about how, I mean, the people with disabilities, they have, they said in the movie, like, we didn't have our normal day-to-day stuff. We didn't have catheters. We didn't have people to help us move us when we're sleeping with bed sores. So,
paraplegic people laying on the floor, who already need to be turned more usual to prevent bed sores and stuff. That, I mean, that's dedication, man.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the thing that we bring up in a lesser way a lot on the podcast, and what we were trying to do is make a bigger impact. And this whole documentary proves that you don't need a lot of people to make an impact. There might have been 50 to 100 people at this protest in the building locked up.
I think they stopped the streets in New York, didn't they?
They did. They shut down the city. They sat in the center of a city block in New York City.
Come on, y'all say y'all can't write to a senator or a politician. Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's not that long ago.
No, not at all.
It was 30, 40 years ago, maybe.
I mean,
we're talking.
Even when you look at the past to now, you can see, I mean, you see some age progression, but, I mean, people fairly much look the same. And I really think that it opens our eyes when we look in the past like that. Like, wow, as humanity, we were not very intelligent.
Yeah, and we would highly recommend you check the movie out.
Please.
It was really impactful for us. And then, it kind of progresses until you see in like the 90s when George Bush signed the ADA, which we had just talked about on the podcast with Kim Nielsen. She said when she was in school, the ADA hadn't even passed yet.
Right.
So, I mean, we're talking 1990. That is within my lifetime. Yeah. Like, that's insane that this is still, I mean, we're still fighting that fight. That's still a thing that's going on, 30 years later?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's going to persist. I mean, things have come a long way. They have a long way to go. But, that's why we are doing what we're doing right now. Like, we're trying to bring awareness to this because it's so, like, the issue's not gone. It hasn't progressed that much. I mean, it's gone up, but it's not.
It does, you do see a big gap change, like when they start actually changing things in communities for walkways, passage throughs, and housing, ramps, all of those kind of things. But you're still right. As we discussed on many other occasions, some places are still not equipped.
Well, it's just even from a societal standpoint of stigma around disabilities. I mean, literally the closing quote of the movie was like, "What is it? You can pass a law, but until you change society's attitudes, it won't mean much." I mean, come on, that's what we're dealing with now. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So, I mean, if you can check this out, it's a very good movie. I know it's kind of old news, but
yeah, well, it was, I guess, probably to us. It's funny how it flew under the radar because when it came out, I mean, that was the kind of the thick of COVID. Like, I should have seen this. So I actually feel bad, naughty me. But yes, people, please check it out. Let us know what you think. Reach out to us either at friendsforlife.com or any of our many social media tags. Well, look at me taking Paul's job.
Yeah. Hey, let me do my job. No, and this this is something that we're trying to do more of. We're trying to work on things with social impact and getting more information out there. So this is a good resource. It kind of puts a vision to the talking that we do a lot of the time, a visual to that. So if you want to check it out, it's called Crip Camp. It's made by the Obamas. It's a very good documentary.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Obama.
Please come on our podcast.
But anytime. We'll make a way for you.
But in the meantime, if you can, we got weekly podcasts coming out. We got the Midweek Mini, which you're listening to right now. We've got Medical Monday. We've got the Friends for Life podcast. And soon we have a couple more shows coming your way. So thank you all for listening. We appreciate you. And like Tony said, reach out to us, friendsforliferc.com. We're on every social media channel as Friends for Life. Check that out. And we appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
Next time.
There's that weird noise again, too.